Welcome back. I am Pastor Doug. We now continue with part 77 in our series entitled A Survey of Paul's Letter to the Romans. The concept of earning righteous standing with God through human effort is as old as Cain's rejected offering that led to the first recorded murder in human history. Genesis chapter 4, verse 5. Through religion, Satan continues to sow the seeds of human input to either obtain or retain salvation by way of some form of works. The book of Galatians was written by Paul to the early believers in Galatia, as some of the believers there were falling victim to satanic influence, as circumcision was being promoted by the Jews as a necessary requirement for Gentile believers to secure salvation. Over the course of church history, the circumcision issue would be replaced by many other religious requirements, such as water baptism, sacraments, and speaking in tongues, to name a few. These seeds of deception have taken root in various sectors within the Christian community and have produced the poisonous fruit of religion. In the case of the Galatians, Paul warned of the harm that would be the inevitable end result of anyone who perceived circumcision, or in principle anything else, to be a necessary additive to either obtain or retain salvation. In Paul's words, we read that the consequence of such apostasy is that, and I quote, "Christ will be of no benefit to you." Galatians 5:2, end quote. Salvation requires 100% childlike, undoubting faith, Matthew 18:3, in the person and work of the Lord Jesus Christ. Nothing more, nothing less. This does not mean that a born-again believer could lose his or her salvation by entering into or returning to religion after he or she has been saved. But such a backsliding believer could never benefit from experiencing the freedom, the peace, Philippians 4:7, or security that the truth, John 8:32, concerning such things would otherwise bring. The insecurity that such apostasy inherently generates will also cause such a believer to advance no further along the road to spiritual maturity. This underscores the obvious objectives that Satan has in mind as he continues trying to infiltrate the church with his religious counterfeits. The devil knows better than any one of us the significance of the old saying that what man does not learn from history, he is bound to repeat. From the devil's vantage point, why fix something that isn't broken? The devil has had thousands of years of experience interacting with man before any one of us were ever born. Believers in the church age have the honor and opportunity to be involved in the most intense dispensation of spiritual combat between God and satanic forces, Ephesians 6:12. Man was created for the primary purpose of glorifying God in the midst of spiritual combat. Discerning what is spiritual from what is religious is a key part in understanding the nature of this combat. Trying to please God by good human behavior and religious activity is still alive and well today and is practiced by many who claim to be a part of the Christian community. Religion not only sets its own standards for doing so, it provides its own means of repair and maintenance for when those involved with it inevitably fail. Such religiosity appeals to the fallen nature in man, as it appears to provide man with his own means to participate in obtaining and retaining of good standing with God. But all such things are no more than, quote, filthy garments, end quote, Isaiah 64:6. The problem with trying to please God by being good enough is that good enough, in the eyes of a God that cannot even approvingly look upon any sin, Habakkuk 1:13, is sinless perfection. This principle gives us some insight as to what was taking place on the cross when God the Father placed the sin debt of the entire human race on the humanity of the Lord Jesus Christ. It was during the 3 hours of darkness of the 6 hours on the cross that God the Father broke fellowship with the Lord's humanity, causing him to quote the 22nd Psalm, my God, why have you forsaken me?" There has never been a human being, other than the humanity of the Lord Jesus Christ, who has even come close to meeting the standard of living a life of sinless perfection. Our inability to live a life of sinless perfection is not a license, nor is it a justification for any of the sins we do commit. At the same time, sinless perfection is the granddaddy of them all when it comes to placing unrealistic expectations on ourselves or on others.